We are live on YouTube, we are live on Twitch, and we are going live on Sportscaster. There we go. So the third-party streaming service that I use has, decided, I guess, to just stop. So while we wait for more people to rejoin this one, I'm probably going to delete the other one that's only like 5 minutes right now on YouTube. So if you are watching this live right now, either live or on the replay, a lot of people probably on the replay catching the beginning, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you all being here so much. My name is Sal Vetri, and I do indeed cover daily fantasy sports in a bunch of different areas. This is the XFL Week 4 live stream. You can catch the replay if you'd like. I have rankings and tiers if you weren't able to ask a question over on Patreon, included graded rankings for both GPP and cash. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, the stream only went for 5 minutes. I literally talked to myself for 5 minutes. I was sitting here talking to myself for 5 minutes, and then I realized that the third-party stream had, I guess, just shut off and really didn't want to do that. So hopefully it doesn't do that again. The Wi-Fi, everything was completely fine. It was, I'm assuming, the third-party provider that we're going to have to send some sort of email after this one. But thank you all. I appreciate you all being here, joining back in. This will be the live stream one that will go up after the fact. So if you ended up catching the 5 minutes earlier, you got some free questions in. Feel free to ask any questions that you might have. I'm happy to answer any and all questions today. The biggest thing right now for me to just, I guess, plug at the beginning of this for the people, probably 1,000 or 2,000 that will watch on the replay and not be able to catch the live stream at this time around 10 a.m. East Coast time. The biggest thing for me to plug is that SuperDraft is going to sponsor this live stream. And if you want $10 upon deposit for SuperDraft, you can use the link down below in the description. It will take you over to Twitter because I can't post gambling links in the description. And then that will take you over to SuperDraft where they will track that link for you and you'll have $10 upon your deposit. I actually do like the format of SuperDraft. I love, obviously, the puzzle of salary draft leagues and DraftKings and the upside of those contests. But SuperDraft, 10,000 to first contest as elite that are just only getting 60% full. You're almost guaranteeing yourself profit if you just try at all. You have projections on SuperDraft right now because of the overlay. And obviously, when you have to not compete against 33% of the rest of the field, you have a much better chance at winning 10,000. So I really do urge people to sign up and try it out over there. Yeah, we're back live, Kilo. Yeah, I didn't know what happened. It's a shame that we ended up not going live. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button on this one. We were live for 5 minutes, and then I talked to myself for 5 minutes, and then people ended up, we just dropped the stream, sadly. What's going on, Cody? How you doing, man? Welcome back, Sal. Yes. Everything should be working now. If it goes out again, it's really beyond my control at this point. We have a 100% service on the, right now on the third party, we have 100% service that I'm seeing. Cletus, subscribe via Twitch with Twitch Prime. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, so anybody over on Twitch, I see all your chats as well. I see the Sportscaster Street people as well. So be sure to join in the conversation. Thank you. I haven't had a Twitch subscriber since the NFL, or the NFL, I believe, which has been, I believe, a couple months since the regular season there. So thank you. I really do appreciate that. That's pretty cool to see. Happy to answer the questions that come in today. Is Johnson playing today or not? Josh Johnson is going to play today. He's been questionable the last 2 weeks, and there's been no issues. He is pretty much probable that they're putting on there with a questionable tag. There's been no issues for him, so he will play today. Thoughts on running backs, Matt Jones and Christine Michael in a showdown? Yeah, they're 12-point favorites. That team wants to run the ball 60% of the time. I only have Jordan Ta'amu projected right now for 22 pass attempts, so I'm completely fine getting to both of those in a format of showdown. You can play both of them on the 4-game slate. I'm not really too fond of that, not prioritizing that, but yeah, I think that you can definitely play both of those guys in a showdown contest. They should both see 12 plus touches with the upside of 15 plus. They're both used in the red zone. They're not used in the passing game as much, about 10 to 12 routes run per week each. That's not great, but when you combine them together, they're running 24 routes in the passing game. Not terrible. Matt Jones, a good running back cash play. I think he's okay in cash. You can see the cash game tiers and rankings over on Patreon. I also included GPP rankings now, so letter rankings. But, I mean, I think he's an okay. He's one of the, 5 or 6 running backs that I would go to today. One of the 3 or 4 that I would attempt to play in cash. With all the injuries in LA running backs, would you play Juwan Harris? And thanks for the info, Sal. You're good at what you do. Thank you, Kevin. I would not play Juwan Harris today. 0% chance for me. Elijah Hood's questionable. If he plays, it's Elijah Hood and Larry Rose's backfield. If he doesn't play, it's going to be primarily Larry Rose's backfield, and I really don't think that Juwan Harris factors in all too much. Larry Rose is a much better pass-catching back, and he got to work ahead of Juwan Harris by a wide margin week 1 and also last week. Harris was hurt week 2, so I'm not a fan of Juwan Harris this week. Who's probably the highest owned QB this week? Either Landry Jones or Phillip Walker. One of them will be the highest owned. Sal, what's going on? What's going on, Chrissy? He says, do you like McBride? I think Trey McBride is fine this week at 8,100. He's going to have ownership. I just think he's fine. They're touchdown favorites. I don't think they're going to be forced to throw that ball that much. He's probable, so that's good, sustaining a concussion and had a thigh injury, but he's probable. No Nelson Spruce. I went on this, rant on the previous stream that ended after 5 minutes. But Nelson Spruce, he's a slot receiver, plays 80% of his snaps out of the slot. Him being out is not automatically making Jordan Smallwood and Trey McBride now the premier options on the slate, like I saw a lot of people earlier in the week on Twitter were trying to think that it would. This is very standard. It's the same that I talk about in my NFL DFS course and talk during the NFL season. When a player is ruled out, who's the opportunity change? Who's going to see more time in the field and more snaps? Levante Winfield and Adonis Jennings are number 2 and 3 on the team in slot routes run. Trey McBride played 3 out of his 11 there last week, but I imagine it's going to be Whitfield and Adonis Jennings in the slot for LA today. That's not helping Trey McBride and Jordan Smallwood. But Sal, they're going to see more targets. Okay, so Nelson Spruce's 6 to 8 targets in a normal week, and I say 6 this week because they're touchdown favorites. Josh Johnson might only throw 25 times. Those are now going to be distributed amongst Levante Winfield, Adonis Jennings, Larry Rose, the running back, any tight ends that they want to use, and then the outside receivers. So I'm going to bump Trey McBride and Jordan Smallwood's target projection by like a half a target to 1 target today. I don't think it does all that much for them because Spruce is out. Also, they're touchdown favorites. They can just not run a slot route receiver today and run the ball a little bit more, use more tight ends, and then it doesn't even help Levante Winfield and Adonis Jennings. So, although Nelson Spruce is out, that hurts Josh Johnson. That obviously impacts Nelson Spruce not being able to play him. But I really don't think it makes me that much more excited to play anybody else in this team. The slot routes should be split up between potentially 3 guys of Trey McBride when he's going to be using the slot. Levante Winfield, I think, will get the start there, but also Adonis Jennings will be pretty heavily factored in. So, yeah, the LA situation today is really weird all around with their running back and wide receiver injuries. Is the stream down again? The stream's down again? Can nobody hear me? It's saying that it's still going. This is terrible. This is really terrible if that's the case. This is a shame. Gotta fade Cam this weekend. You guys sure the stream's down? Back up for me now. I got everything live on my end. I'm getting fine megabytes per second, KBs per second. Where do you get your injury info, and how close to the game time will we know if Hood is going to play or not? Probably about a half hour before the game, you'll know, hopefully an hour before. I get my injury info through beat writers and also the XFL injury page. SJ Green is going to have a coming out party this week. I do not think so. He is currently questionable. Apparently, according to beat writers, he is still not knowing the playbook all that much. So SJ Green, by all accounts, is going to be pretty heavily limited just based on not knowing the playbook all that well. Just dropping frames pretty bad, Sal. Yeah, I don't know why. We're on my end, I have completely fine Wi-Fi. Everything's loading pretty good. It's the third-party provider right now, which is a shame. Which is a big shame. Yeah, I really don't have much going on my end. I guess I'll have to deal with it, and I'll contact them after this. I agree with you on your analysis on Jennings versus Whitfield in terms of slot opportunities. Any concern with their snap count share from last week at 78% to 25%? Should it go up without Spruce? No real concern. It's hard to judge that game. The game blew out in the fourth quarter, and all the starters came off the field. Spruce came off the field. You had McBride hurt. But it's really hard to judge the snap counts last week from LA because you had just a ton of guys not playing in the fourth quarter. They took off their entire team with 10 minutes left for about 2 drives, so it's going to skew the snap count results. You're good. Okay, good. Here again for a great XFL week. Thanks for keeping up the hard work. No problem, man. I love the XFL. Yeah. It's been 3 weeks and we're up not 10 figures. We're up 5 figures in 3 weeks of the XFL. So, can't complain about it. It's been a ton of fun. Pretty much if you had Philip Walker and Cam Phillips at any decent volume last week together, it was hard not to make a lot of money. Week 1, if you were doing your work, it was hard not to make a lot of money, in my opinion, depending on how you had your contest set up. Thoughts on Dunbar? Yeah, he barely sees his price increase. He's number 1 in the entire league in receptions at any position, and he's number 3 in routes run for running backs, number 1 out of slot routes. Yeah, Dunbar looks really good in that game. Is Whitfield too risky for cash? He's cheap, so like if he gets you 4 fantasy points, it doesn't kill you on this in 4-game slates. But yeah, I think he's a little bit risky for cash. All right, hopefully that all stays good, so now I can pull up some other stuff and not worry about the bit rates too much. Is Adonis Jennings a lock considering his 3K price point? I do not believe so. I do not believe so, no. Adonis Jennings should play in the slot and split snaps in the slot with Whitfield. And then if Saeed Blacknall plays today after being a healthy scratch last week, that hurts his Adonis Jennings upside on the outside. I don't think there's really much upside for those guys. You're banking on a touchdown. They're going to split snaps out of the slot, and they're touchdown favorites, so they can easily just go into a run-heavy offense in the second half if Elijah Hood is healthy. And then you just see less players in 3 wide receiver sets, which you started to see last week in the first half as the game blew out a little bit. All right, let's see this. So we had a question, got a ride or die on Sammy Coates' train? Yeah, I'm not going to get there. I'd prefer Sam Mobley to Sammy Coates this week just because of the snap counts dropping. There should be a week where Sammy Coates plays 60% plus snaps again, but Sam Mobley, it's a 1-week sample, but even if Sam Mobley only plays 40% of the snaps in this offense, and there was some very positive things after last week's game coming out, played 57% of the snaps, I have him in today to play 50%. He looks like a pretty good option. Sammy Coates is just, a couple of things are pretty bad with him. His separation, his release has been awfully bad from what I'm seeing. And then obviously he's just in an offense where there's 6 to 7 receivers used, and he's one of the rotating door receivers, so the snap counts are always a concern. I had a question about bad cornerback play. Tampa Bay, I think it's Athuila Kelly has been pretty awful this year so far. Been targeted 16 times in 3 weeks, so not great. Has played a good amount of coverage snaps, about 80, but has 136.5 passer rating against Tampa Bay cornerback on the outside there. What you're going to get benefiting that is DeAndre Tompkins and Rashad Ross, so it should be a decent matchup from that regard there. Other ones that stand out, I mean, you have Dallas. Dallas' secondary is not good overall, 7th overall. And the big probably downside for Dallas is Dukude, who has given up right now 11 receptions through 3 weeks, 121 rating against. Dukude is probably going to be the player who more times than not will line up across. I imagine they're not going to put him on Cam Phillips for all that much in this game, but Cam Phillips, Sammy Coates, Sam Mobley. All of the Vetri Army is going to cash this weekend, locking in Whitfield. Y'all are locking in Whitfield? Hey, I have not put a stamp of approval on that. Look, I don't think Whitfield's a bad play. He's in my ranks. He's in my tiers for both cash and GPP. I just don't think there's like 5 viable 3K options this week at wide receiver that you might have to get to one of them, depending on if you want to play Phillips and Walker again. But by no means is he a lock, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sammy Coates is second in the league in deep passes, but the concern is, like, at least Rashad Ross, who's ahead of him, is playing more snaps, running more routes, and then Sammy Coates right now has caught one of those, so there's just no connection there. The opportunity is there, though. I agree with Sammy Coates having opportunities down the field right now, but they're just pretty terrible. Like, nothing's clicking for him. And I guess that's what you're looking for if you do want to play him. So I can't, I guess, say too much bad about that. He is having opportunities downfield, but that's all it is right now, is if he's not catching a 60-yard touchdown, you're pretty much dead in the water with him. And the other thing that stands out right now, at least on my end, is that you really only have you have a pretty bad accuracy from Phillip Walker when he's targeting players downfield. This hurts Cam Phillips as well. So just in general, Phillip Walker right now is 30.4 adjusted completion percentage when targeting players downfield. Compared to the other players in this league, that's average because you have Brandon Silvers, Taylor Cornelius, guys like that. But compared to like NFL standards, I would rank like dead last. Yeah, I think Badette's a fine option this week. Going to be same exact price point as McBride. So just in terms of the same price principle for DFS purposes, the theory there that he is going to just go unowned. Last week, same price guy goes off, Trey McBride. Everybody wants to play him. No Nelson Spruce. Don't really think it changes for Trey McBride that much. Everybody wants to play him. I feel like there's no way to accurately analyze the defenses and how many points they score. Yeah, no, the standard procedures for looking at defenses are the quarterback they're playing, the offensive versus defensive line, pressure rates. How many times is the other team projected to throw? Those are the ways. Is Coates going to do anything this week? Coates should probably play around 50% of the snaps, probably see anywhere from, I'd say, around 4 targets. So if you think he clicks on one of those, maybe, but that's what you're banking on. Walker or Landry? LA slot value wide receivers opens up Walker if you play one. Yeah, I mean, there's other guys than just those LA slot value wide receivers. Like me getting right now 15 routes run out of Whitfield and Jennings out of the slot is not making me feel all that great about them. So, yeah, I think that there's other options in the 3K range. Walker or Landry is the question of the slate. If you want Landry, you can probably pay up for somebody else at wide receiver, have more strong options there, get a premier running back. That's if you get Landry. Walker clearly opens you up to the ceiling that Landry doesn't have. Landry's ceiling is probably in the mid-20s. Walker's, we saw last week, is in the 40s. But I think either of them are fine. It's what you want to do elsewhere. Like Walker scoring 32, Landry scoring 24. Either of those can win you a tournament today at their current price points. It just matters what you do with the rest of your lineup. I'm up on Badette this week. That offense is too explosive. The issue for Dallas is they're not explosive, so I think that's actually, not to say anything about your comment being wrong, but it's just that the Houston offense is explosive. The Dallas offense is not explosive. I mean, you have Landry Jones right now. Currently through 2 weeks, he has attempted 11 deep passes, but he has a 18.2% adjusted completion percentage on those. And you're having a guy, currently right now, Jeff Badette, just not running routes down the field. His route tree is just pretty horrendous. He has 3 deep targets on the season on 17 of his targets, 17.6% deep target rate. That's just not great overall. So I don't know. It's a situation where I'm not the highest on Jeff Badette's overall deep play upside, but I like Jeff Badette from a standpoint that they're throwing the most in the league, 40.5 times per game in Dallas. If he sees 7-8 targets at his price point, catch 6-7 of those, even if you don't score a touchdown, there's upside there. And I like the fact that he's going to be unowned because Trey McBride is the exact same price point as him. So I don't think he has deep play upside just because this team doesn't pass deep at all. I mean, the most deep targets on the team is Badette with 3, Jazz Ferguson with 2, and then a bunch of guys with 1. Just doesn't seem that great. Cameron Payne stands out as the best running back this week. One of the better options, I would say. What QB is starting for New York? It's speculated that Luis Perez is starting, but I imagine you have Marquise Williams, who's a mobile, rushing, scrambling quarterback, in there a good amount as well. McBride is going chalk after his game last week. Yeah, I imagine so. I think he's going to be chalky. Yeah, I think McBride is going to be rather chalky, I would say, too. Whew. Feel free to continue asking any questions on either site. I really enjoy the Q&A part. That's the thing I missed the most about NFL. We had like 1,300 to 1,400 people earlier in the year on the NFL version of these live streams. Obviously, nowhere near as much interest in XFL Week 4, but it was so fun. There was just so many people in here, and this is what I like the most is the live streaming parts of the stuff that I do. It's a ton of fun. Who would you stay away from this week? So who would I stay away from this week? I mean, I have my interests labeled here. So I guess Josh Johnson at quarterback and Jordan Ta'amu. I'm not going to get there really at all. Running backs, James Butler. I'm not going to get there. That's like the only standout in terms of pricing. Wide receivers, I'm not going to touch a St. Louis guy. Probably not going to touch a Seattle wide receiver. Probably not going to touch a New York wide receiver. But not really fading anybody else from those regards. I'm not big on Keenan Reynolds ever. Quarterback play, team, just upside in terms of he has a lot of air yards, but it's really coming from 1 or 2 passes this season. But I think a lot of these guys are in play. I think Trey McBride's an interesting case study because he's going to probably be chalky this week. And although he is probable, it's still interesting that he's battling 2 injuries, and I don't know how much of a full role he gets today. He looked so explosive and so dominant, and I mean, he was a top pick in the NFL draft. He was a top pick in the XFL draft on the Jaguars practice squad. I like Trey McBride a lot. Like week 1, he was one of my favorite targets, but he's priced up a good amount this week to where you actually have to make a decision on Trey McBride, depending on the lineups you're playing, versus maybe getting up to your Cam Phillips and Phillip Walker combos. If you're making one lineup, do you just play Walker and move on? Yeah, it's not that simple this week because of the price points. I like Walker. I think Walker's the best quarterback probably on the slate if you didn't factor in salary, of course, in the situation that they're in. When you factor in salary, it becomes close between 3 guys for me. Do you like Phillips or is he too expensive? Phillips is the guy in this slate that I would be fine paying for compared to anybody else. I'd rather Phillips than Walker just because he's a wide receiver. There's a much higher ceiling for wide receivers and consistency to their higher performances and floors than there is for quarterbacks, in my opinion. Do you prefer Mobley over Whitfield? In a GPP one lineup, probably. How do you feel about Austin Duke or Tanner Gentry? Yeah, Gentry comes off the short-term IR. I'm not sure how much he gets factored in. Austin Duke played as the backup slot last week, so I have zero interest in Austin Duke. I graded him an F on the gradings. Yeah, he's a bad play. So, like, Austin Duke is going to look good to some people. Sally had 4 catches, 40 yards and a touchdown. He ran 13 routes, all in garbage time. He played as the backup slot receiver behind Colby Pearson last week. So no real interest there. Okay to fade New York altogether. Yeah, I think so. I don't think you have to get to them. Not even Pro L. Is it his pricing? Yeah, Pro L's pricing is not that appealing. I put him in the grades for GPP, but he's not that high for me. Not that high in Austin Pro L. This team has a 13 implied team total. He's an $8,500 slot receiver with probably the worst quarterback in the league throwing him the ball. McKay is in play if Perez starts. Yeah, at $8,000, Perez should start. The only downside is that I think Marquise Williams will factor in for at least a third of the snaps. Perez was fine in college, but it's hard to kind of translate that and see how that's going to affect XFL standards. He was an exciting player in college. Anything's going to help McKay at this point. He has a ton of air yards. Matt McGlynn has just overthrown him, and this offense just plays so stinking slow. I don't even care that the quarterbacks are up in the air and that this offense looks terrible in general. They just let the play clock run down to 1 second before they snap the ball. They're dead last in the league every single week so far in plays run. It's disgusting. As fat as a risk-reward ratio is concerned, do you think it's best to pay up for Cameron Sharp-Payne without confirmation of a consistent running back paydown option at the moment? He's one of my 4 or 5 strong plays at running back, Cameron Sharp-Payne. I think he's okay. If you get there, I don't think there's anything bad about it. What does chalky mean? Yeah, Michael, it just means they're gonna have a lot of ownership. So if you're playing tournaments, if a player has a lot of ownership, even if they're the best play of the day, in XFL, outside of like NBA is where you should eat chalk, but in a lot of other situations, fantasy sports and sports in general are variant. So if a player is going to be 50% owned and you think he's the best play on the slate, he's not the best play on the slate anymore, probably when he's 50% owned. Every piece of ownership that comes on a player reduces your payout. So every piece of ownership that comes on a player means that you have a much less likely chance to win the top prize. That's not good. So when a player becomes very chalky, your chances of winning the top prize, even if you think he's a good play on paper, they become a lot less, because even if you bank, even if that guy goes off and everybody's right, and that rarely happens, you're going to be splitting a ton of prizes with people as opposed to hitting the top upside. So it actually becomes more beneficial to fade chalk more times than not in DFS. And in my opinion, in a lot of DFS sports at this point, your best advantage is fading chalk if you actually want to take down tournaments. Do you like Tompkins, wide receiver for DC? Yeah, I do. We ran 29 routes last week. Malachi Dupree is back this week, but I'm not sure that impacts Tompkins solely. It'll impact Rashad Ross and Tompkins. But I think his price point is fine. Would you go for McBride or find the extra money to get the Parham? I prefer Parham, but it depends what you're risking. There. Parham, Phillips, and Larry Ross injury news. Parham, Phillips, and Larry Ross are all active. They're all going to play today. Stockton, what's your confidence in him being given more plays this week? Not much. Not much confidence in Stockton getting more plays. Maybe plays 10 snaps today. Not much. Unless barring an injury. Is McBride playing? Yes, he's probable. What are some good stacks to build around? I mean, I'm not going full game stacks. I think you can. I guess I shouldn't say I'm not doing that. I have some situations where I'm doing that, but I don't think you have to compared to the NFL where every single time that I entered a contest was a full-on game stack. Chalk equals popular, yes. Who do you like at QB on the Sunday-only games? I don't even know what the Sunday-only prices are. I'm assuming that they're the exact same. Sunday-only is Houston and Dallas, so those QBs. DC and Tampa Bay. The 4 QBs that I like at all on the entire 4-game slate are all playing on Sunday. So this will translate right to that for you. Right there. Those 4. Do you feel Cardale Jones is a sneaky play? I think he's a sneaky play. I think last week was obviously just an outlier of what's going to happen. But the issue for Cardale Jones is he's a similar price point to Landry Jones. He should be completely unowned because of that. So when it comes to cash, it's hard for me to get to Cardale. But when it comes to GPPs, yeah, he's pretty firmly in play. We'll delete the older version of that, and that is now updated and good to go. Cool. Very good. Sal, are you running it back at all yet? Or if it happens, then it happens. Yeah, I'm running it back today in the Houston and Dallas game. Definitely. They have a game total 10 points higher than anybody else in the slate. So if you're ever to run back an XFL game, this week's Houston and Dallas game should be the game. They literally have a game total right now that is... This is just where it opened. It's now like 8 points higher to overall than the DC Tampa game, and then no other game is within 10. So, yeah, that would be the game that I would go towards the most. I'm not going out of my way to create 4-man stacks, a quarterback, 2 pass catchers, and running back from somebody. I'm not going out of my way to do that, but if it happens, then I'm fine with it. So I guess that's the way that it's doing. I'm allowing it to happen, but I'm not setting rules for it to happen, if that makes sense. Any interest in Khalil Lewis? The price point is just brutal. No cash interest, some GPP interest, but the price point is just brutal. Hey Sal, would you prefer on DK Reese Horn or Nagel? A toss-up. They're both going to play a ton of snaps out of the slot. They both are favored by their quarterbacks to some regard, but not the primary option. So really a toss-up. Is this league becoming more running oriented? Saw some good runs last week. No, not at all. Nowhere even close. If you factor out St. Louis, that is 60% run offense this year. The league is throwing around 60% of the time. St. Louis is going to drop that number to like 55, 56, but this is a pass-heavy league. The reason you saw more rush attempts last week was St. Louis is just running the ball nonstop, and then you had a couple of blowouts, especially the one in LA versus DC, so they ran the whole second half, only 25 pass attempts. Yo, I just want to say you're doing great work. Keep it up. What defenses other than the Battlehawks? Yeah, I don't really have strong takes on defenses this week. Battlehawks are expensive. Don't really care to get up to them all that much. Wildcats are a fine price point against an uncertain QB situation. I don't want to play Seattle at all because St. Louis is just not going to throw the ball. You need teams that are going to throw. I think both Houston and Dallas's defenses are in play. Yes. Oh, but Sal, the total's so high. You actually want totals that if they're not dirt low like Seattle's today against St. Louis, you want the next defenses that you target in DFS, correlation-wise and fantasy points correlating with totals, is the higher totals because the teams throw more. The more pass attempts in the game, the better opportunities for something bad to happen in terms of you getting a situation where there's a pick six or a fumble return or just more plays in the game, the better. More pass attempts in the game, the better for the defenses that you're playing. Rhodes/Parm or McBride/Victor. You're going to have to wait on the injury news. Rhodes/Parm would be my option only if Elijah Hood is ruled out. I've been setting rules for 3-man but not 4-man. Yeah, I have rules set for every single quarterback that I play. I'm stacking somebody with them, so obviously your 2-mans. Oy, oy, oy. Why is Houston giving up so many points? Tampa Bay totally had a chance to win last week. Yeah, I mean, the team's forced to throw against them, and they gave up points. I really don't know why. I don't really know the answer to why they're giving up so many points at this point. I mean, overall, their defense ranks number 1 in the league. Their run defense is number 3. Their tackling is number 3. Their pressure is number 3. Their coverage is number 3. I think it's just a situation where teams have to throw against them. If you're going to see teams throw 35 times against them when they normally throw 25 times, more times than not, there's going to be more points scored. So I don't think it's that much of a concern right now. Houston's defense is literally ranked number 1 in the league right now. It's pretty crazy. It's very close to St. Louis and DC, though. Michael or Victor? I'd go Michael there. Okay. Brissett is a good player, though. Yeah, he's the 4th string running back. Brissett, he should see a little bit more work this week. I actually do agree with that take. Like, if you were trying to find a Martez Carter from last week, maybe it's Brissett this week, but not going to be a guy I get to. It's just tough. He got a lot more run and his touchdown because of blowout run last week. That could happen again, but I'm not going to project for it. Landry Jones paired with who? Which pass catchers? Donald Parham, Jeff Badette, and his running backs are all fine options. Flynn Nagel, he has a ton of pass catchers. The guys who are going to correlate upside-wise the most are Donald Parham. He's priced like it. The running backs are going to see a lot of targets from him, but they're not like correlated tightly in terms of their fantasy upside contributes to his, because 5 receptions for 30 yards for Lance Dunbar is obviously fantastic in fantasy. It does absolutely nothing for Landry Jones. It gives him 1 point. So the best correlations are going to be your wide receivers, Badette. I would say Parham, Badette, and Nagel in that order. High winds concern you in the Dallas-Houston game? No, I think weather is wildly overrated in football. I don't factor it in. Unless Vegas factors it in, I don't, and they are currently not. QB with at least one wide receiver from the same and opposite. It's been working well. That's fair. Yeah, I put that wide receiver as a running back as well, depending on the team you're playing, especially if it's Dallas today. But that's fair. Just so if you're setting up your lineups today and you have QB with one wide receiver from each team, Kilo, you're going to get a lot less lineups with Landry, with like Lance Dunbar and Cameron Sardin-Payne, just one of them in your lineup, or you're going to get a lot more lineups with one of those guys in your lineup and then Jeff Badet, and you probably don't want those many lineups with those two together. Do you think Brissett was just desperation last week? Yeah, he got far majority of his snaps in garbage time. Love Dunbar this week. He seems fine. You biased? Same with me and Tommy. You biased, somebody says, because of the last name. Somebody's got the same last name as Brissett in here, I believe it's pronounced. How much do Vegas odds play into your decision-making? They're a part of it. They're not all of it. Vegas odds should be a part of every single DFS player's decision-making. Those are the casino is a situation due to rake, but also just they are right a good amount of the time, and it's not even them. People are so misinformed when they say Vegas is so good at setting the lines. It landed right in the total. First of all, they're median lines, so they're good half the time. But second of all, the market sets them. The market sets it just like the stock market. The stock market is not perfect because of the companies perfectly getting their price point out. No, when the companies put their prices on the market, they completely change right away. That's what happens with the lines. The lines are going to be good, but they're going to change by a point or two a week because that's what the market is going to entail. So the market, the betting market, is actually the predictor, not Vegas, in my opinion. But yeah, you have to factor in Vegas. Seeing a team with a 13 implied team total today, not that encouraging. I only pay attention when the line moves. The line moving is very important for the MLB. Obviously NFL too, but you have more days for people to realize it. Nobody really looks at the Vegas lines like an hour to two before the games. When those lines move a lot for the MLB, and it makes teams that were the highest overall total on the slate become one of the maybe third highest now. They're not nearly as appealing, especially when there's going to be high ownership on them. I like all the Tampa Bay receivers this week. Tolliver is the most. Yeah, all of them look really good. Nick Colley and Reese Horn, or Sam Mobley and Jalen Tolliver. Mobley and Tolliver for me. More Mobley and Tolliver for me there. How would you rank Dunbar, Cameron Sardin-Payne, and Matt Jones? Those guys are ranked over on Patreon if you want to check it out. I'm not going to give away those rankings, though, but they're over on Patreon if you want to check it out. It is linked down below. Rankings up there as well as tiers. Lots of things for GPP and cash. If playing FanDuel on Saturday slate, is there enough upside in using the underdog QBs to fade Johnson and Ta'amu? I would want 0% of Ta'amu. I had 0% last week. I said it on this live stream on Sunday and Saturday. I don't want Ta'amu. He's not going to throw the ball. So Saturday only slate, just scratch Ta'amu off. I'd rather have the two cheaper guys than Ta'amu today. Tempted to play Dallas defense. You can fit it in great lineups, but do you think a defense could kill you if they get minimal points? Yeah. Look at last week. Drew Dinkmeyer lost $100,000 because the defenders got -4 points. Drew Dinkmeyer was 2 points out of winning $100,000. His defense had -4 points. He lost. He finished in 4th place for like $4,000. That is brutal. That is as brutal as it gets. He might have finished in like 6th place. But yeah. So negative points for your defense matter a ton when there's only 4 games on the slate. Do I think Dallas' defense is in play? Yes, they're dirt cheap, and they're going to have a team throwing 35 times against them. Philip Walker has looked fantastic, but I wouldn't rank them as my favorite play. But, yeah, if they're going to give you more salary, I think their defense is in play at 3,000 flat. What do they need? A kickoff punt return. That's what they need. What do they need? One fumble from somebody. It doesn't even have to be Philip Walker making a mistake. Be anybody on the damn team. Do you see Dallas struggling today with Houston playing great on defense? Look, Houston's been good overall for the season consistency-wise, but last week they weren't that great. Is Gentry playing today? He's expected to play but be limited. I want to get into MLB DFS. You're going to make content for it. Yeah, I'm probably going to do tiers for pitchers and stacks and maybe value plays on Patreon, and I'll be doing content on YouTube. It's not going to be the same. Is Elijah Hood out today? No, he's questionable. My MLB content is probably going to be coming out, but it's not going to be nowhere near as demanding as the NBA. I'm making NBA videos every day right now. MLB will not be that way. I'll probably make 3 a week, maybe 1 or 2 podcasts over on Patreon and then rankings. The problem that it's so, well, one, I'm going to have a lot of other projects. I have a really big project coming up for season-long NFL. So I'm going to be putting time towards that. Going to be putting time towards NBA playoffs, PGA, and WNBA. I much rather play WNBA DFS profitability-wise than MLB, in my opinion. And then MLB is just so straightforward. You stack the teams with high team totals. You pitch the pitcher who has a decent to good strikeout rate against a swinging miss team, and that's it. That's all you do every single day. You don't got to worry about injury news. You don't got to worry about 5x value. Projections do not matter a damn at all in MLB. So you stack the teams with the high totals, and you play the pitcher who has a good to great strikeout rate against teams that probably swing and miss a good amount. So it's just really straightforward. There's not as much in-depth analysis needed. Now, I can make 10-minute videos like I did last year every single day for MLB on YouTube. And there's a good chance that I will make 3 to 5 a week, but it's not going to be as consistent, especially how it is right now with NBA. Just not as much of a priority for me. Tomo worked week 1 and week 2, and no one was on him, and he played well. Week 3 was perfect time to get away from him. Yeah, but the issue for Tomo week 1 and week 2 was week 1 was an outlier. They're not giving him nowhere near as many design runs as they did week 1. They probably realized, hey, we actually have a chance. We're not the worst team in this league, like Vegas said. So 8 points on the ground is probably not consistent from him. Week 2, they played Houston. He had to throw. If they're going to be touchdown or more favorites, Tamo's just not going to be an option for me unless he drops down into like the low 8K range. Is Jennings in play? Yeah, he's in play. Who's a good spend-up option on power forward for FanDuel tonight? I don't play FanDuel, the NBA DFS, and I haven't even projected NBA today, so I'm not positive on that. I'll have projections up on Patreon later for Superdraft and NBA for DraftKings. But yeah, the link down below is my Patreon if you're interested, and Superdraft, $10 a free play if you use the link down below. Drafters.com, if you use the link down below, it gives you a 100% deposit bonus up to $50. So pretty cool. What's your favorite quarterback today and what game? You can check that out over on Patreon. I'm not going to rank anybody. I'm not going to give my favorites out. It's a 4-game league. 4 games. Me giving out my favorite play at every position makes the content on Patreon pretty much pointless. Brady to the defenders. That'd be something, huh? Is Matt Jones looking healthy? He's been questionable for the last 2 weeks and he's played through it, so I'm just assuming he's going to play. I don't think it's 100%, but I think it's better than 50%. I think it's closer to 70%. Is Tompkins okay play? Yeah, he's healthy. He should run 25 plus routes. Patrick running back at 5K in play very loosely. He should play 50% of the snaps, see 8 to 12 touches. So anybody who's going to see around 10 touches today at running back, I think is going to end up being loosely in play because they have touchdown upside. Patrick being the number 2, if they're in a running back a committee that doesn't have 3 backs like Seattle and huge underdogs. But Patrick, I think he's in play, but an outside like chance. Like you're banking on touchdowns there. What's your favorite lineup today? Yes, the whole lineup. That's funny. We know Sal's favorite play today is Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, every single day. You got to go to Aaron Rodgers whenever you can in XFL DFS. Victor or Larry Rose? Larry Rose only if you end up getting no Elijah Hood. Devin says, joining Patreon tomorrow. Yeah, so Patreon charges you on the first of each month and when you sign up to ensure that creators are fairly compensated. Otherwise, you can cancel because they don't do 30 days from sign up. But for people who are hesitant on signing up today for Patreon and getting access to all the stuff for XFL for this week, if you sign up today, send me a message tomorrow when you get charged, and I will refund you for today. So pretty much what I'm saying there is week 4 XFL is completely free on Patreon this week, but that's only if you stay through for tomorrow's charging for the month of March. So if you want to sign up today and have access for NBA today, have access for the XFL week 3 or week 4, all the content, tiers, rankings, depending on the tiers, the podcast, the Excel sheets, the snap counts, the targets, touches, routes run, all that, usage notes. If you sign up for Patreon, link down below, XFL week 4 will be free if you stay on for March, which will process tomorrow. So you'll be charged upfront today, but then don't worry, that will be refunded to you tomorrow if you were charged tomorrow. So check that out if you are indeed interested. Josh Johnson or PJ Walker? PJ Walker. Mobley looks like a good, decent option, or cheap option. I think so. Par him for cash. If you can afford it, depends on how you build your lineups. I don't think he's a lock, but if you can afford it. Sorry if I'm late, but what's the latest on news on Matt Jones? He's been questionable the last 2 weeks and has played through it. I think he's okay. On DK, when they have a P, will they still play? Yeah, unless you get late news, probable means they're going to play. Jones is still questionable. Probably just maintenance. He's played through a questionable tag. I agree. Sal, would you play Michael and Jones together? Saturday only slate on FanDuel. I think that's okay to do, especially because the Dallas running backs aren't on that slate. Saturday only slate gives you the St. Louis running backs who are going to have 12 to 15 plus touches apiece. It gives you the messy backfield of LA right now. It gives you Seattle's three-headed backfield. In New York's pretty crappy backfield. So, yeah, I think those two guys stand out. Larry Rose would stand out if Elijah Hood is out. What's the advantage of becoming a Patreon member? Well, on Tuesdays, I recap the previous week's analysis-wise. You have an Excel sheet that gives you all the snap count percentages, all the targets, touches, routes run, all of that. And then later in the week, I give my GPP grades and rankings for pretty much every player that I think is in play. I do a Closing Thoughts podcast on Saturday morning discussing ownership, discussing exactly where I'm going to. I have cash game tiers as well. So, yeah, the advantage is you get pretty much 2 extra shows a week that are more in depth. You get 3 different Excel sheets. You get a complete rankings of every single position and pretty much every single player for cash and for GPPs, and you get those tiered for cash. So that is exactly what it provides you, Jeremy, sir. If Hood is out, Rosen, Tompkins, or Victor and Whitfield? Rosen, Tompkins. Flynn Nagel interest, sure. I'm going to be live 10 more minutes from here, or 10 more minutes, and then I need to eat some food. A little intermittent fasting. I've not yet ate today, almost 11 a.m. Probably eat around 11:30, maybe noon. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that you have a pretty good slate this week. Really good slate this week. I like the $100 contest that they have today. I'm going to get into a ton of more contests as slate becomes closer to lock. Ones that won't fill will be really fun to enter into a lot of those as well. Alrighty. If you are still watching right now, please do hit the subscribe button to this channel. I really do appreciate that. Please do hit the subscribe button to this channel. Check out down below in the description everything for Patreon signups, everything for free money over on Drafters to play with, and also Super Draft. All those are linked up down below if you are indeed interested. I'm looking at this injuries. Okay, nothing seems to be different there. Is that what's your DK username, if you don't mind me asking? I believe it is. Is it Sal Yanks? Yeah. It is Sal Yanks 13. How many targets do you think Tompkins gets? Probably somewhere around 5 to 6 on average. What QB do you think will rush for the most yards on Sunday only games? Sunday only games, most rushing yards. Interesting question. Probably Cardale. Yeah, also apparently FanDuel players can now play XFL in New York, if you were wondering. So that's pretty cool. From what I hear. I don't live in New York, so I can't 100% tell you, but from what I hear. What QB do you think will rush? Good morning, Sal. Let's take down some GPPs. I'm excited for today. Yeah, I'm excited. I think there's ways to get different. I think there's ways to eat some of the really good chalk, but still have upside in your lineups of being unique. Not going to lie, after signing up for Patreon, I've been so confident in my lineups for this week. Look at that. A ringing endorsement of Patreon. I appreciate that, man. IG the Hype says, not going to lie, after signing up for Patreon, I've been so confident in my lineups for this week. Thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, XFL alone right now is probably around, I'm trying to think. It's around like 30 hours a week of content and research for me. So that's just for this one sport. So maybe even 40 hours a week. And that's with me doing NBA and PGA. So yeah, the difference between, so like for the people that say, oh, I'm not signing up for a subscription DFS thing for Patreon. First of all, if you play NBA, it's literally like 70 cents a day, and you're getting projections and you're getting all the other access to XFL and PGA and all that. So if you're playing DFS, it's a great tool to have. But number two, like this is my full-time job. I'm full-time covering DFS for this sport. There's not going to be people who work 40 hours a week going to have the exact same amount of analysis on their own, in my opinion, profitability-wise. So I think there is an advantage. Obviously, don't be in debt and go in debt to buy my $20 a month Patreon package and support me there. Make sure you have disposable income, budgeted income. I don't want people to be buying my content and then using it as a way to not help themselves and go into more debt or create issues for themselves. So yeah, obviously make sure that you're financially in a good situation. But if you have disposable income and you like this, I do think it is a very good assist for you. I just got word I'm from New York. Can you play on DraftKings, DD Dubs? Can you let us know? I know FanDuel apparently, but can you play on DraftKings yet or no? Malachi Dupree comes back for DK. Any interest? Or DC? No. He was running as the wide receiver 4. He'll probably take a couple of routes, run away from Rashad Ross and DeAndre Tompkins, but I'm not going to expect it to be a lot. How do you use your reward points on DraftKings? Save for a big contest? The crowns? Man, I don't care about those things. Sometimes I save them. If I have enough to enter like a $400 qualifier or something, I'll use them. I really don't have a strategy for the crowns. A lot of people like to just keep them forever and hope that one day maybe you can cash them out. I know people who like to do that, but DK has shown no effort to make the crowns all that viable. So if you're somebody who plays $10 a week and you've got enough crowns to play in a $30 contest, single entry, whatever it might be, go for it. Like, I use them in qualifiers. I really don't like qualifiers and burning my money in them, but if I have a bunch of crowns and can use them in them, sometimes you can't, I'll do it. Every sport is $20 and the all sports is $20. What's the difference? Every sport is not $20. If you want the XFL tiers and rankings, that is in the priority package, which is $30. The Hall of Fame gets you every single thing that I offer for $50. The all sports is $20, but the all sports does not offer tiers and rankings for sports. It also does not offer Discord access, so it's up to you. You need to sign up. Which is the best package, asks Dean for Patreon. The best package, if you want XFL tiers and rankings, the best package is either going to be the XFL priority, or if you want to have access to NBA and PGA as well, it will be Hall of Fame. If all you want is the podcast and data sheets and no tiers and rankings, then the All Sports is a good one. Can we use your NBA projections in Fantasy Cruncher? You sure as heck can. Yes, sir. I just entered a contest. Oh, you can play on DraftKings now in New York. That's pretty good. Go, Sal. Love your style, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you. Sal, do you think it's worth paying down to Cardell Jones instead of Walker, or is it needed? In GPPs, if you're playing a lot of lineups, I think it's okay to do that. He'll be very low owned. Adonis Jennings thoughts. I need a cheap flex on FanDuel. Who would you recommend at $8? Adonis Jennings, I think, is okay. I think he'll split the slot snaps with Whitfield. I think he'll probably run Adonis Jennings somewhere probably around 20. If it depends if Saeed Blacknall is healthy today, but probably somewhere around 20 routes. When do you think the news will come out for Hood? Hopefully an hour before the game. More likely, probably 10 minutes before the game. So be pretty close to checking in on that. I'm going to post my Twitter in here if you guys want to follow me over there. How many people are watching? Can somebody let me know? Hall of Fame is the best package. That is what I have, says Sean. Sean, I appreciate you. Yeah, I think the best bang for your buck is the Hall of Fame. You get access to the Discord. You get access to all the tiers for each sport. And right now, it's usually 3 sports at once. So right now, it's PGA, NBA, and XFL. It will then transition into PGA, NBA for a little while, WNBA, and probably some sort of package for MLB. It will then transition into PGA, NFL, and then the NBA starts again, right? So 200 people watching. That's pretty good. Patreon full sport is solid. Best $20 to spend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Not sure about Twitch, but 200 on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, be sure if you're not yet subscribed over on the YouTube, there's 200 of you in here, the YouTube. If you're not, hit the subscribe button. It'd be really cool if we can get up to 20,000, maybe by sometime in March. That'd be really cool. I know less interest in NBA compared to NFL, obviously less interest in XFL compared to NFL, so it's harder to hit that goal, but I'm pretty confident that we can get there pretty soon. And I'll be making a lot of season-long NFL content, which has an opportunity to spike an upside in the YouTube algorithms. So that'd be cool too. I followed you on Twitter, homie. Appreciate you, my man. I'm assuming your name is either Steve or Matthew. That's just my guess. I'm subscribed on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. You rock. No WNBA, Sal, this summer. What do you mean? There's no WNBA now? They don't do their WNBA during the Summer Olympics? Did I not know this? That makes my workload a lot easier and makes MLB more of a priority for me. I started covering the WNBA 2 years ago. Do they really not do WNBA during the Summer Olympics? That's wild. That can't be. Any chance River or Brady fall to the XFL? No shot. They're paying their quarterbacks $500,000 a year. Those guys want 30 mil. You're the effing man, bro. Seriously, nothing but love. Everyone go to Patreon. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you a lot. I can't bet WNBA. Yeah, I mean, WNBA for DFS is very simple. I don't sleep on this podcast. I appreciate you, Matthew. Thank you. You forgot to mention your WNBA content on Patreon. Yeah, WNBA is going to be fun. I'm getting told now that there's no WNBA, though. I don't think that can't be right during the Olympics. Thanks out with all the help, and I do recommend his Patreon so much when helping, especially for XFL. Thank you. Yeah, so WNBA is very similar to NBA, and you can project it pretty good. The minutes, for the most part, are going to be stable. You can project it pretty good. Nobody wants to play it, and nobody won 50 maxes compared to the NBA. So last year I had a lot of success 150 maxing, and I know a couple of Patrons did as well. Look, if you're playing just cash, it'll help you a good amount. If you're just playing one lineup in a GPP, if it's going to be the same as any other sport. You're playing a lottery system at that point. But if you're at 150 maxing, playing single entries, WNBA, there's still an edge. It's similar to the XFL, similar to preseason NFL. Nobody wants to make content. If people are only going to make NBA and MLB content during the WNBA season, there's a niche for me to make content and draw traction. And also there's a niche then for me to go ahead and play in these NBA contests, WNBA contests that sometimes overlay. The real question is Johnny Manziel coming to the XFL. I don't think they want him. They offered him a contract. He said no, and then he tweets out, probably drunk, that he wanted to play in the league if they gave him a certain amount of money. It's just not going to happen. The real question is pineapple on a pizza or no? I've never had pineapple pizza. I'm not against the idea of it. I'm not a picky eater at all, but never had it. I'm surprised Kaepernick doesn't go to the XFL. They're going to pay him $500,000. That's the issue. They don't have the amount of money to pay Kaepernick $10 million. They just don't. All of their quarterbacks alone don't even make that much money. Josh Johnson, low owned, Sal. I don't know if he'll be super low owned, but lower owned compared to the guys in the Dallas and Houston game for sure. Osmo plays 150 into WNBA, though. Yeah, he does. He plays 150 into everything, though. But relative to the other pros in other sports, it's not going to be the same. Is McBride playing? He's probable. Won $10,000 in the XFL Monster last Sunday on FanDuel. Not so confident this weekend. Nice. Congrats. Yeah, I'm up about 5 figures in the 3 weeks so far. It's been pretty cool. Nice, Dark. Yeah, definitely. Congrats for sure, my man. Cap wants too much money, not going to the XFL. Of course. None of these guys are. None of these NFL quarterbacks are going there. Their top quarterbacks are getting paid $500,000 right now. That's a lot of money, for sure. That's good money for a 2-month season with a couple of months of practice and training. That's a really good salary. But none of these other quarterbacks are going there. Yeah, for me, week 1 was highly profitable. Turned about $7,000 or so in profits. Week 2 was a $700 loss, and then week 3 was another profitable week. We're up about 10 figures or 5 figures. Jeremy says the XFL's problem is it probably won't last long because they don't have stars and won't pay the stars. No, that's not the issue here. It's going to last. They have a 5-year plan for the XFL. Vince McMahon is prepared to go into 8 figures of debt the next 3 to 5 years. So it's going to last. They have star players growing in it. Phillip Walker and Cardale Jones are becoming star players in this league. Cam Phillips, that's going to organically grow. It's not viable to just say, though, that you can pay somebody or you can go into $10 million of debt, literally what your league is going into on a yearly basis, to just acquire Johnny Manziel. I don't think that's going to boost it from a profitability standpoint. They're not trying to compete with the NFL. Nowhere near that. No, they're trying to compete with the other sports like the NBA, like PGA, like NASCAR to an extent at this point, and they're blowing them out of the water. So there's a lot of upside for the XFL. Yeah, XFL is pretty much funded for the next 3 to 5 years. Exactly. Yep. Look, I like the XFL. I like that it gives me a business opportunity. I like playing it. I'm not a stan of the XFL like some of the people I see on Twitter are right now, but I will back up logistics when I see it. If they fail after 4 years because they're not making money, that's fine. But after the first 3 weeks, they are ahead of their scheduled viewership. They're by far ahead of their social reach, subscriber-wise and follower-wise from what I've seen. So it seems as good as it can get from judging a league after 1 month of action. Do you think PJ Walker will be in the NFL next year? He'll be on a practice squad after the season is over, as long as he's healthy. Not a starter, but yeah, he'll have a chance. Where do you find the link for the NFL strategy course and recommendation for all sports lineup optimizers? I use Fantasy Cruncher when I optimize, but I've been using some other sites as well as of late. I think if you just know how to set rules, you're fine on optimizers. Where to find the link for the NFL strategy course? My NFL strategy course is officially taken down right now. It's still up there, but I have to pay like $100 a month to house my courses, and the NFL is not in season, so it's not getting a lot of traction. So the course is like $80. So if you want it, you got to find a friend, so it's worth me opening it up for the month. Why go to Cardell and not Te'amu? Because Te'amu's going to throw 20 times, Cardell's going to throw 28 times, and Te'amu throws downfield 3 times all year, while Cardell has thrown downfield about 5 times as much. Cardell is number 1 in the league in play action passing. Te'amu doesn't use play action passing, so Te'amu is just in a terrible offense in terms of fantasy upside for your quarterback. Do you see any former starters jumping the NFL and going to the XFL? I'm talking Bryce Petty, Nathan Peterman, Matt Moore. Yeah, I think so. The issue is, though, if you're a backup in the NFL, you're making way more money, and you might as well just stay there. The downside is, if nobody wants to sign you in the NFL, like some of these quarterbacks here, go to the XFL, make $500,000 to $1 million, depending on the year, and then maybe you get another chance. It'll be really interesting to see how much they offer Phillip Walker to stay in the XFL next year if he's on an NFL roster and just doesn't want to play in the offseason, and how that'll work out. Do you think there are any QBs who play today that have upside? That played today that have upside? I think your upside QBs today, if Luis Perez starts, he's a sneaky play at low ownership. That's about it. I'm not really too high on Josh Johnson for the 4-game slate. XFL is going to last the other niche sports. Yeah, the problem is the XFL they don't have to compete with anything. They're competing with regular season NBA, which I like, but not many people tune into. And on the weekends, they're crushing all the ratings for any sports right now. Crushing PGA. PGA just sucks at just getting any sort of broadcast out. Crushing NASCAR. Crushing NBA. Their biggest competition was like a Lakers primetime game like a week or two ago, and they were still fine. And that was on like Fox Sports 1, and they still had over 1 million viewers. So they seem pretty decent right now. What's your DraftKings name? SalYanks13. Leverage on fading both Saturday games today. Leverage on fading both Saturday games today. It depends on what happens with Elijah Hood. That'll open up Larry Rose. Seattle and St. Louis, I'm fine just not getting too much there. The running backs in St. Louis, if anything. But I think that's it. I've been on for about an hour. I hope you all enjoy this. Please do hit the subscribe button before you leave. I will put my Twitter in here if you have any further questions about Patreon or anything else for this slate. You can follow me over there and DM me. The DMs are still open. I don't know how long I'll be doing that, but they're still open for now. So be sure to check that out over there. Appreciate you all tuning in to this video. Check out SuperDraft. Link down below in the description is SuperDraft, right? If you just want to help me out and hit the link to SuperDraft, you get a $10 upon sign up. So if you just want to sign up and get 10 free bucks to try out SuperDraft multiplier format, feel free to check that out. I'll post a link in here. But I just started an offer with them, and they said that we can maybe do some just free money signups if we get enough people to sign up originally. So if you plan on signing up for SuperDraft or you're interested and you use this link down below, you don't have to use the promo code that's attached to it, just a link. If you use that link, you can send it yourself over to SuperDraft and then check out what they have to offer over there. They are the sponsors of this live stream. Thanks, Al. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you. I don't understand why McKay is 8K. He's done absolutely nothing. Yeah, McKay has not done much. His quarterbacks suck, but he is number 3 in the league in air yards, I believe. XFL was behind NASCAR last week. It was behind NASCAR if you're looking on probably a 1-game sample, but it peaked at 2.6 viewership in the millions. And then overall, if you're just looking at the results of each game's consistency, it's really not close. But yeah, if you're interested in Patreon, you can sign up down below. Again, if you're interested in Patreon and you sign up today, and you stay on and get charged tomorrow because they charge at the first of each month, just reach out to me via Patreon. Let me know that you signed up yesterday. I'll refund your February purchase, which means you can get today's stuff for free. But that's only if you sign up pretty much in the next hour. So there's Patreon. Thank you so much. What if I already got a SuperDraft account, says Eric? Then I guess you already signed up. But you can make a new account with a different email and use that code. There you go. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all tuning in. You all rock so much. you make this the best job in the world. So best of luck on XFL today. I'll talk to people in the Discord who have questions. I'll try and talk to any new patrons today. I'm going to be sending out some emails, maybe some videos to welcome you through. Have to deposit through PayPal on SuperDraft. You do? I deposited with a card, but that's when like the site first launched a while ago. So I'm not sure if that's true. Is that true still? I haven't had to deposits for a while, but so hit a deposit. You get a $10 bonus if you use the link that I did send you. That link is down below, or just attach them to the thing. Good luck, everybody. Best of luck. Best of luck. Best of luck. Peace out, gang. See ya.